Good evening and welcome to the Hometown News TV. I'm John Young.
And I'm Lori Young. John, this has been kind of a change today with the weather. The wind has been a little on the brisk side.
Yeah, our warm weather, our January thaw lasted about 3 days. And after that, it's gotten really cold. Today, there were some wind gusts up in Long Prairie area around 35 miles an hour. Definitely a cold, cold day.
I believe it seemed like when you were bucking the wind with traveling, you sure can tell when you were going against the wind.
And I took a couple of pictures today because I wanted to show everyone, especially those of you who are not in Minnesota, what it looked like today with the wind. So I have a shot here. If you take a look at this one, in Swanville, it's not often that you get to see the flags straight out like this. Most of the time, of course, they kind of fluttering in the wind. No, they weren't. They were like two pieces of plywood out there. And then we went down the road to Birch, and not only were the flags straight out, they were actually hyperextended. They were definitely getting thrown around with today's wind.
It was kind of neat because there was a lot of snow cyclones today.
Yeah, I saw a couple of those. I wanted to get a picture. I was coming down on Highway 28, and there was one ahead of me, and it's like, oh my gosh, I was going to pull over, and then it went right into the trees, and it was gone. Well, it's that close to getting a real, and it was, I bet it was a good 50 feet tall and 20-some feet. Well, it was taking up both lanes of Highway 28 as it was coming down the road, and then it went off and up and over where Bitts Marine, where it used to be, and it was gone.
Wow.
But we really only got about an inch, in some places got about 2 inches of snow out of this. It really wasn't a ton of snow, but it was kind of a nuisance snow, and you had it in town because of that strong wind, so anywhere there was a little bit of protection. Like in our area right here, it's like all the snow from the acres of land to the north and west of us landed here, so we had 3 or 4 inches around depending upon where we were looking. Melrose, we were rolling through town today. They were busy cleaning the streets, and one thing makes it really difficult. Take a look at this picture. It's really difficult sometimes when you have snow like this to tell where the street ends and where the curb and the sidewalk begins. And I found myself a couple of times where I was kind of getting ready to step into the snow to get to the vehicle, and it's like, okay, where is exactly? Because a person could turn an ankle so incredibly quick. And they were busy cleaning the streets. You can see right here, Melrose, they were busy cleaning it, and then we pop up to Grey Eagle, and they were busy cleaning the main street there and getting things all cleaned up. But it's just one of those days where it doesn't look like it's much, but I could see where a person could turn an ankle, fall down, and really it could be a serious day with just a little bit of snow causing a lot of damage that way.
You have to be physically fit so you can jump them.
Yeah, no.
We really lucked out though because we were supposed to get rain and then freezing rain and then the snow.
Yeah, I thought last night when I went and took the dogs out that I was feeling this mist in the air, and I thought, oh my goodness, this could be an interesting day.
It was one of those things that, does a person take the weather into heart and actually get the paper done a day early just because of the fact that we didn't know how traveling was going to be today? But
we're from Minnesota. We can get through anything.
But actually, it wasn't too bad. The country roads were actually pretty well blowing off. They were some icy patches, but other than that, I noticed that there were some finger drifts that were starting that you have to watch out for, especially come later tonight, was the icy patches and the finger drifts. But other than that, the roads were pretty good, except for when you were in town. Yeah,
I was following a snowplow, and he's booking along because there's nothing to do. Going along at 50 some miles an hour, and then you get to an intersection, and then you had to slow down because that's where those finger drifts were starting to form, and you needed to get those cleaned up because you're not expecting those when you're moving along on clear road.
And they were forming pretty quick.
Very quick.
The road 238 between Bolus and Elmdale was really bad. Come 2 o'clock this afternoon, the finger drifts were starting to get a little higher and higher, and so hopefully they got those cleaned up. So be careful if you're out traveling this evening for those. I have a few pictures here of some brave people out in this bitterly cold weather. Right here we have Bob Tyson. He was shoveling in front of St. Francis's Church there in St. Francis. And a gentleman just outside of Bolus moving snow with his four-wheeler. And that had to be cold because that wind was nasty.
Cold, but I'm thinking it would be so much nicer than out there with the shovel doing it at 20 inches a swath with the shovel. But yeah, that was a cold, cold day out there, and I moved some snow out here. It was definitely chilly.
And now for this week's Hometown News, you'll have to check out Harvey McKay, A Smile Adds Face Value. Tom Keene, The Good Old Days, his article this week is on Christmas Past. Dave says, with a house rental, is it okay to rent to family? For this week's upcoming events, There's a show and hobby goat meeting that's going to be held this coming Monday, January 15th at 6:15 p.m. at the Centrosoda Cooperative Feed Mill in Upsala. And now for this week's obituaries. Helen T. Veeder, age 69 of Atwater, formerly of Sauk Center, passed away Saturday, December 23rd. A memorial service will be held at 11 a.m. Friday, January 12th at the Pat and Shad Funeral Home in Sauk Center. Leander B. Notch, age 82 of Avon, died Thursday, January 4th. Services were held Monday, January 8th at St. Benedict's Catholic Church in Avon. Zachariah A. Zach Berlin Wensman, age 32 of New Munich, died Thursday, January 4th. Services will be held at 2 p.m. Saturday, January 13th at the Pat and Shad Funeral Home in Melrose. John G. Johnny Sterriman, age 85 of St. Rosa, died Saturday, January 6th. Services will be held at 11 a.m. Friday, January 12th at St. Rose of Lima Catholic Church in St. Rosa. Donna M. Hinnenkamp, age 86, originally of St. Rosa, died Sunday, January 7th. Services will be held at 11 a.m. on Friday, January 19th at St. Luke's Catholic Church in Clearwater. Richard Schiffler, age 91, of Albany, died Tuesday, January 9th. Services will be held at 2 p.m. Saturday, January 13th at the Seven Dolors Catholic Church in Albany. John H. Jack Rose, age 106 of Freeport, died Monday, January 8th. Services will be held at 11 a.m. Monday, January 15th at the Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Freeport. And you can read the full obituary write-ups in this week's Hometown News. Up next, we have our photos. Our front page photo was submitted by Ralph Hinnenkamp, A Walk in the Marsh. The Minnesota Through the Lens photo is a sunrise on Little Birch Lake, which was submitted by Amy Reland. Swanville Elementary students with Bulldogs' positive behavior for December is pictured here. The Vernon Frericks family from Melrose helped place 5,000 wreaths on the veterans' graves at Camp Ripley. Vernon is a Vietnam veteran, and the photo was taken by Lawrence Sand, who happens to be a Korean veteran. 8th grader Zadie Lundeen was chosen by Upsala High School staff as Junior High Student of the Month for December. Senior Gabe Duvier was chosen by the Upsala High School staff as the Senior High Student of the Month for December. Upsala Senior High Students of the Month for December, which is the whole group broken down by subject. Upsala Junior High Students of the Month for December. Upsala Elementary Students of the Month for December. Also, they were all broken down by the subject. Swanville High School Excel Award nominees go to Olivia Metler and John Muhlenkamp. Swanville High School AAA Award nominees go to Alita Sherping and Lawrence Metler. The Upsala Upstage Players will be presenting Murder at the Pie Auction the weekend of January 26th through the 28th at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Upsala. Crews will be working with tree removal along Highway 238 in Albany beginning next week. You can also check out the Swanville City Minutes and the Upsala City Minutes in this week's Hometown News, along with all the great articles. This weekend is also Take a Kid Fishing Weekend. So if you want to take anyone out fishing, you can do so without a fishing license.
This past week would have been a better time for it if they could have done it like Tuesday and Wednesday, because I heard the fishing was really quite good. I actually went out onto Big Birch Lake, and I got a photo here. There were a lot of people out on the ice, and they were having a really good time in the 35 to 40 degree weather that we were having. And they were getting ready. I was a little early before the bite happens, but they've been catching some walleye out there on Big Birch Lake, so the guys were pretty excited to be out there. So one of the features we want to add to our weekly little show we're doing here on Thursday nights is a look back at some aspect of the history of the area. There's a lot of you who have old black and white photos from the towns or different parts of the community, and we'd like to share those and share the story behind those a little bit on our Thursday night broadcasts and such. To give you kind of an example, let's take a look at this picture. This is actually a picture of my grandfather, Truman Young. This would have been taken approximately about we're figuring about 1918, somewhere in that ballpark. Truman and his family lived on the northwest corner of Big Birch Lakes, kind of by the cemeteries in that area. And this was a picture taken in that vicinity down on the north shore of Big Birch Lake. But you'll see the shoreline isn't like that. You don't see the rocks and different things like you're seeing in this photo. Back at that time, they didn't have the dam between Big Birch and Little Birch Lake. So in the summer, when you would have a dry spell, the lake would recede, and it would recede to the point. There were times that the water was out hundreds of feet from the shoreline where we know it today. So this was one of the pictures where Truman is standing in an area in which, in today's situations, he'd be standing in somewhere between knee and thigh deep water on the lake. That's why you're seeing the rocks. And yes, you can go to that part of the lake and you can see the rocks and different things down in the muck in the spot that he was standing. So these are the kind of things we'd like to be doing on a weekly basis. So if you've got some pictures and have the story behind the pictures, please send those to us. The email and such, you can find those links and such down below, or you can send those to us at the Hometown News email address, which of course is in the paper or on the website.
And if you have some of the photos that you would like us to scan in and you can keep and take them back with you, that would be a good thing too.
Oh yeah, there's some people probably have postcards. Some of those older black and white postcards from the area are fabulous. And those are keepsakes. So yeah, we could definitely scan those and make sure you get those back all in one piece. And we have some great content for shows and for really teaching the next generation about what the area was like back in the early 1900s.
Well, that concludes our show for tonight. I'm Lori Young with the Hometown News TV.
And I'm John Young with the Hometown News TV. Good night.
Good night.